Hey, welcome everyone to the final session of our 2022 clinics. This is going to be for the fast pitch and modified pitch umpire sessions. And this is a required session for those of you that are looking to get any at-large assignments as we go through the season. In addition to that, we remind you to make sure that you are registered and having completed your background check and including safe sport. Even if you've not been given any opportunities to this point, please make sure the safe sport is completed. So when we have those last minute opportunities, we have that list at our disposal. So Mr. Brian Smith, let's start off with our USA softball rule changes. And again, these are fast pitch, modified pitch related.
Oh, great. Put me on the spot right away. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here and attending this fast pitch session. This basically, as Ross said, this is our last session of the virtual training. The sessions will be on, have been recorded, and it will be put on the website. Give us a couple days to put this one on for the people that need to view it, the tape version. We are still working on one of the sessions, the general session. Darren has the information, and we're trying to get that hooked up to our website. So I'll start off with the rule changes. Ross, if you may. We have, just a minute, let me slide this out of here. So any attachment, such as a molded finger grip, flare cone, or choke-up device must be attached with grip tape. That's what it used to say. It now removes that requirement to use tape to secure attachments to the grip. So that basically is the batters that have the rubber cone or a rubber knob, shock absorber, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, they can have that be loose on there now instead of being attached with tape and so forth. So, okay. The ball, basically, we've gone over this. This is basically all of this is doing here to make it really in layman's terms is they're trying to make the common ball to be the same for both the Federation, NCAA, and USA softball. This will take effect in 2024. In the JO game, they have allowed, now we have one EP to bat, so you can bat 10. If you use the DP Flex, you still can use the DP Flex with that. And any player can play defense in that. Basically, what they've done in this game, in this rule, is to add another player. Some of the other organizations had an EP and a DP. They came to us and said that they would like our game to have the same benefits. So that's basically what they did with this. The biggest thing with that part of it is make sure that you know who the pitcher and catcher are for your courtesy runner. Okay. Basically, this just cleaned up some language part. This is, instead of having baseman in the rule book and on everything else that we have, it's now going to say base player. If you go through the rule book, I believe there was not that many areas that it affected us, but it is cleaned up and gone from there. So we are in good shape with that. This is one we had a long discussion with on the slow pitch side. This is basically what this is it allows for somebody with a disability, such as diabetes. It says here that the coach should notify you that a player in the pregame conference. If they do not notify you, there's no penalty. Basically, what we're looking at with this is if coach comes up to you in the 6th inning and says that they have a person that's under a diabetic situation, they need this person to get basically back to normal, get their sugar levels up, etc. Then we will basically allow another substitution come in or another player come in, a replacement player, as it says, to play until this player is able to play again. As we said on the slow pitch side, we know that there may be some games played with this. We would hope that there isn't, But if there is, let your league directors know if you're in the league that every week it seems like this one team has a player that has a diabetic condition, and this has been going on. It seems like it's a different player every week and so forth. Let your league directors know if you're in a tournament situation and this comes into play. Just let the UIC know that we think that there's something going on, and the UIC or the tournament director can talk to them. And if it gets to a point where you've had the same team 3 or 4 times, then have them ask them in the pregame meeting if they have anybody with these conditions. Once again, we're not doctors, so if a player is taken out due to this reason, we have to go by what the coach tells us. Okay.
Brian, did you want to speak to teams that have the minimum number of players and a team that does not have a substitute available to replace?
Basically, what we're looking at with this, if a player comes out due to this condition, they don't have anybody that can, as far as a substitute that is eligible. If that substitute has used up their eligibility, we can put them in as a replacement player just to continue on. Also, if they have a situation where the player needs to come up to bat, I would recommend go backwards in the batting order instead of going forward, so we don't run into a situation with with a runner being on base and due to bat. Basically work with the teams as much as possible. We don't want to basically have to forfeit a game because of this thing, but that's what we want to look at. So to answer the question that just came through the chat box, this does not include concussions. So concussions is dealt with a different thing. They have to have another player ability. We have to look at this with a known with a disability. Basically, a concussion is, I guess to put it in different terms, would be only a temporary disability. This is what we're looking at, would be the same as any ADA rule, that there is a condition that a player has, such as diabetes, or that's the biggest one right now is diabetes, to get their sugar levels back where they can be played in the game. Concussions, we have other rules that take care of that. Okay, that answer what we needed to, Ross?
I believe so.
Okay. The next 3, he's got the 3 rules right here for us. Great, thank you. Basically, USA Softball has gone away from playing, having the time limit expire and playing 1 extra inning. For you folks that have been in the national tournaments that this went on, we would have an additional inning that would take 45 minutes or more to play. So they've gone back now to, instead of 1 hour and 20 minutes, we're going to go at 1 hour and 40 minutes, finish the inning, and that's it, unless you're tied. If you're tied, then you'll go into the tiebreaker situation and go from there. And in the state of Michigan, this rule for our JO tournaments will not come into play as we, well, it will come into play. We've had this already along, but what we do is we have a stop clock also, so that helps. But this will take into effect at all national tournaments now, including the JO Cup and like that. Basically, this is the big one that we have in women's and JO ball. For girls, they basically are going to allow the terminology leaping, or as you can tell, both feet can be in the air at the same time, which will be allowed. For you folks that have not heard this before, very good pictures here, especially with the men's game. The one on the far left there with Kat Osterman, she must have done that later in her career, because when she played at the college level, she didn't get off the ground like that. So, but this is what we're going to be seeing now in the women's game. Will we see a lot of it this year? Probably not, but down the road, I'm pretty sure that we will. So that's going to be a big benefit for our game. It's also going to be a big benefit for the women's game, and in the college and the federation, they will be soon to follow as soon as they are eligible to go. I heard rumors that the NCAA may get this as soon as next year, 2023, and they would bypass. They would put a new rule in place mid-year with the rule books. So is what I've heard. Not for sure though, but that's just a rumor. So
that completes our rule changes.
Okay. Any questions in regards to the rule changes? Okay.
So Brian, these are the
These are the plays that we
you
talked
sent
about.
to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Just now. Okay, let's see. I'll turn on my camera for you folks, maybe. We'll start.
We got you.
Okay, good. All right, so what do I do in these cases? And these are basically questions that are asked when we're conducting clinics. We talk about plate stances. We talk about the inside part of the plate. We've had different people that ask, what do I do in this situation? So this first question we have is a catcher squeezing the inside part of the plate. So I'm going to throw this back to our umpires, and just if somebody wants to throw out something what they do, then we'll go from there. So anybody want to throw out a comment first?
Probably going to be a ball, because the last time I saw it, it was out in front.
Okay. That's a situation. How about if we tell the catcher that they're squeezing us, so we need them to move back into the inside part of the plate? Is that a good philosophy?
Why not?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I've told the catcher before, you're
Well,
squeezing
this
me. I
is the
can't see that
situation we
inside.
get to, is the coaches want their catchers in a certain area. We're gonna work with the catcher, but we're also gonna talk to the catcher if they're definitely taking away the inside part of the plate, we can't see it. This may be a situation that we have to talk to the coach. Don't talk to the catcher, because the catcher now is gonna be caught in the middle between us and the coach, especially at the JO level. If you are doing a dot ball and the catcher is squeezing the inside part of the plate and not giving you a view, then, there may be something that we have to look at there. You can talk to them about that. The other thing that we have to look at with that too is keep this in mind. This may be a situation where you may, if you have a situation with this, you may want to slide a little bit towards the plate a little bit more and work up over the top of the catcher. Especially if it's a situation that we have with this type of scenario where the catchers are squeezing or they're sitting up high. Basically, take that into play. The other thing is, what we don't want to do is work off the opposite side of the catcher and work off in case if it's a right-handed batter, working off their right shoulder. We're going to try to do what we can with this. The catchers will catch on that if we're missing pitches and they ask where was it, you may just want to tell them, hey, I'm not getting a good view. You got to help me out here. And that may be enough that, that they will make a change at that point too. Usually when the catcher's missing a few pitches and they're not getting them for their pitcher, they'll work with you and they'll work out from there. The catcher setting up and then moving as a pitch is delivered. This is one of the scariest things sometimes, is when you are working and the catcher decides to give the signal, and just as the pitcher gets ready to throw, they move to the outside and you're left totally exposed in the slot, and you just hope that the ball is not coming inside and it will go where the ball, where the catcher is setting up for. What we don't want to do when the catcher moves to the outside with this is we don't want to go with them, because what does that do for us? It basically changes our strike zone. So at this point, what they're setting up and then moving as a pitch is delivered, unless they're moving back into you, then you should be okay. If they're moving back into you and going to your left, then what you may have to do is set up a little bit later and maybe take a half a step back more to give them that clearance. Go ahead, Ross. Up here. This is a pop fly around home plate. This is one of the things here. This is keep this in mind with this. This is a difficult situation. If the catcher moves back towards the plate area and now is going to be close to the plate area, as far as a possibility if they drop the ball for fair or foul, where do you think the umpires should be? Anybody want to throw a suggestion out with that? Take an imaginary lines from third base line to first base line extended. And if you have to, keep those in front of you and work back and take a step back, give the catcher room to have, but also find a line that you can be, if the ball is dropped and then touched or not touched, you have a line that you can look through and still have a point of reference. So that's what we would want to do. The other thing is too, is with this, is you always want to key off the catcher. Don't look up to see where the ball is, as you may get to be up close and personal with the catcher and not knowingly about that. You basically key off of them, work around them, and go from there. Bill, you have a very interesting situation. If you talk to Rick Havercroft, he'll tell you what to do with that, as far as if catcher totally bails on you and you get hit with the pitch. If there's a reason why they bailed on you, most likely you may have a double ejection and maybe even a triple ejection. If they didn't like your scenario or your pitch you're calling, they bail on you and let you get hit on purpose, then I believe that warrants somebody to get ejected. If there's a total cross up on the signals with the catcher and the pitcher, if they haven't had a problem the whole day, they get crossed up. That's why we have all that gear, and we're just going to have to take one at that point, but go from there. Okay. So questions that we have with pitchers and illegal pitches. With the new rule that we have in place now, that we basically will be eliminating a lot more illegal pitches. But what we have to look for with this is we're still looking for the step forward, for especially in the men's game where they want to have a what I would say a replant. They plant their foot, their hands are still together, then they push off from other than what the pitcher's plate is. We have to look for this. We're going to be looking for the double touches. We're going to be looking for the pitchers that basically in the women's game that are outside the 24 inches. In the men's game, we allow the pitchers to be outside of the 24, so we don't have to worry about that. We're also going to be looking at with the illegal pitches, as I said, with the double touches, we're going to look at them stop in their motion. We've all seen a pitcher that will start through their motion and they stop. So that once again, we'll have an illegal pitch with that. As far as keep this in mind, the feet on the bases belong to the base umpire. They're the ones that are going to get the replant. The hands belong to the plate umpire at this point. They have a better view of seeing what the hands are doing and whether the ball is being touched twice or not. As we said, being within the 24-inch pitcher's plate, this is basically boils down to the women's game, the men's game. We just don't want them starting off on the side part of the pitcher's plate. We want them to be inside. I believe, go ahead. Oh, here we go right here. You can tell right there, this picture right here is a little bit borderline on whether they're outside of the 24. It's a men's game, so we don't really concern about that. For the people, for a little bit of history for this, the men's game, they came to us and they said that there would be no difference if the pitcher went outside of the 24 and threw across their body to try to get the pitches. They basically felt that they could still hit them. And so this rule went into effect probably in 2006. And I don't believe we've had any complaints from any of the pitchers or the batters or the players during that time with this happening. So the fast pitch veterans that are on the call, if they have heard anything in the recent years, please let me know or let us know. But right there, this is what we have. This is mild to what we've seen before at some of the men's games. So.
Thank Brian. He starts in the center of the rubber, but he as he goes with his pitch, he moves to the outside.
Right. So we have no issue with this. There's no issue with any of these photos here. We do have some that will start a little bit farther to the left or farther to the right to get that extra push. And as you can tell right here, we would not have a problem with any of the, well, we don't have a problem with any of these here. So.
Except for Shannon Damron, he starts outside the rubber.
I'm sorry, which one? Oh, Shannon. Yeah, Shannon does. Yeah, he's been caught a few times, huh?
Do you think the women in JO will eventually go to this? Just get rid of
I
the
think
24-inch shoot.
You're going to see more of this in the JO game, especially with more of the male pitchers that teach the young ladies. They're basically going to start teaching them to get that extra push off for the leap and so forth. But it's interesting when you go back, some of the best pitchers that we have in the state level didn't leap and do this kind of stuff. The Jimmy Doyles and the Doug Gillises, they didn't go and jump and leap and everything else, and they were very effective in their games. So it's just a matter of how the pitcher can get everything this down. Of course, now in the game of men's fast pitch, this is almost this is the rule and not the exception. You see a lot more pitchers doing a lot of this. Okay, what we're talking about this one is what do I do when a pitch hits a batter? We can all tell the real obvious ones that hit them up on the forearm, hit them in the shoulder, hit them in the back, whatever it boils down to. The toughest one we have is probably the one that is close to the knob and close to the hand at the knob. So basically what we have to look at with this is basically react to the player. If the player is, oh, you're way getting ahead of me now there, Ross.
No, I just went ahead to where you're at.
Oh, I was still talking about the pitch hitting the batter, but that's okay. We'll get to those. If the pitch is up and in and it hits the knob, and go off the reaction of the batter. The batter usually will tell us, if they basically got hit. The other thing is if it goes off their knob, they're going to stay there an extra second, and they're going to tell us that they got hit or did not get hit. Don't be too anxious to call the dead ball and go from there. Now, there's also situations that will come up that they start to go to first base and definitely went off the knob, then don't be afraid to bring them back and let everybody know that, yes, it did go off the knob of the bat. Okay, the second one that we have there is the ball coming off the foot, I believe. Yes, the ball off the foot of the batter. This is basically on the foul balls. Or a slap hitter that gets hit outside of the batter's box, or maybe right there, right off the foot, right in the batter's box. Basically, what we have to look at with this is the ball our eyes will take us to where the ball is. So if the ball is going off the foot, you should be tracking down the ball and you'll see it come off the foot. When it hits the foot, then pick up where the line is of the batter's box and so forth. There's some of them that we can tell that, especially the slap hitters that will run up through the box, they'll get hit and they hit the ball and the ball has hit them right outside the batter's box. We've got that. Keep this in mind that when you do have that, come up with it right away. You've either got a dead ball or a foul ball. Come up with it right away. And if they're outside of the batter's box, let everybody know where it hit them. If it hit them outside of the batter's box, and point at the area that it hit them to give you a little bit more point of reference when the coach comes down and says, this is where they were at and so forth. You already know where you've already pointed to that spot and can go back to that. The coach will come in always and they'll point at different footprints in the dirt and everything else. I don't know how they can tell 65 feet away when we're right there. A lot of our umpires will clean off the area, smooth out the area in front of home plate to help with this. I prefer just to leave it all there, because if I need a footprint sometime, then I've already got one there. So anyhow, that's what we look for there. Once again, if you track the ball, you're going to see the ball down off the foot, pick up the line at that point, and then you can make your call. Batter swings and is hit by a pitch. Once again, it's the same thing. You have to look for what happens with this when the batter swings, or maybe it's a check swing and is hit by a pitch, then we have to make our ruling from there. Question came up the other day in regards to what do we have when a batter swings and is hit by a pitch? So anybody want to throw that out there? What the answer is to that?
Dead ball strike.
Dead ball strike, and if it's strike three, if that would be strike three, then what?
I'm gonna call him out.
The batter is out. That is correct. We have a dead ball. We have a strike on the batter, and if it's strike three, they are out. So that's what we have to look at with this. These are usually we can pick this up pretty well, and we can go from there. So if we have questions, if you're not sure if a batter swung at a pitch and got hit by it, as far as on a check swing, this is what your partners are for. Ask them if the batter swung. If they did, there you go. The same thing here with the next bullet point that we have. Did it hit the bat or hit the hands? You usually can tell if the batter's running down to first base, shaking their hands, you probably have a pretty good idea it might have gone off the hands if you have any questions whatsoever. Swinging bunt hit by pitch. This is basically what we talked about a little bit before, but this is also a situation where I'm going to expand it a little bit farther with this, as far as a batter that is outside of the batter's box when they make contact. So this is what we have to look at too. Once again, it's very difficult if the pitch is to the outside, the batter's trying to reach for it, it's tough to tell where the pitch was, where the feet were and like that. You basically, at this point, you're going to have to stay with the pitch. You may miss the foot, and if you do, that's a situation that we have to go with. Our eyes are not that quick to pick up a pitch where the feet are and when they made contact. So when in doubt, we basically have to go by what is the most important and take our importance at that point. So the pitch would be the number one thing that we have to be concerned about. Once again, come out with it. If you do have a batter that's hit out of the batter's box, come out with it, sell that at that point. Say right here, batter is out, or if you have a foul ball, come up with foul ball at that point. The next one that we have here is runner leaving early on a pitch. We have a lot of the runners will use a rocker step. A lot of them are into what I call the starting position for a track meet. Also, when you're on the wings, on the bases at first and third, it's really easy because you have them right in front of you the whole time. What we have, the toughest part is when you're out on the bases and you have a runner at first base and you're rotated into the middle part of the diamond, or even when you're at second base and you're rotated, those are the tough ones. There's 2 points of theory with this. What I look at is I watch the pitcher and take a quick glance back to the runner. There's other people that would look at the runner and then they'll glance up at the pitch, but keep in mind that we can't do anything without that ball. So you have to get the timing of the pitcher. In my opinion, you have to get the timing of the pitcher as the ball comes through and then take that quick glance at the runner. If they're off the base at that point, when you're taking that quick glance and they have probably left too early, what I usually do is I'll look, take a glance at the runner as the ball is at the hip area. As the pitcher is getting ready to release the ball at the hip area. Now what that tells me, if I look down, most likely that runner has, if they're off the base, have left before the release of the pitch. So that's one of the theories I look at. I'm not sure if there's anybody on here that uses where they look at the base runner first, and if they are, I would be open to their philosophies on that. So if there's anybody that does that part of it, please go ahead and speak up and give us your philosophy on that. Okay.
Okay, so next we have a couple plays that we're going to assign some umpires to, and please let us know what your coverages are. So this is a 2-umpire system. Runner on first base, fly ball to deep right field near the line. U1 chases. The ball is caught. R1 tags and goes to second. What umpire actions are taking place on this play? Give you a couple of seconds to formulate your thoughts. And Mr. Billy Norton will have you as our plate umpire. Mr. Brian Heriberta will have you as our base umpire. So, Mr. Heriberta, what are you looking at on this play?
We're talking about a 3-umpire system.
This is a 2-umpire
Two
system.
umpire.
So we're working on 2-umpire right there. I'm gonna button hook inside, and I'm gonna let my plate umpire is gonna, excuse me, I chased out there, so sorry about that. So I chased out, looking at that, make sure the ball's caught, take an angle that I can see, preferably not at the person. And then I'm going to take a peek around the backside at hopefully my plate umpire is coming up to take the person in second base.
Mr. Norton, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with that. If he goes out, that's okay. The base umpire goes out, it's his call, fair, foul, or out. As a plate umpire, I will be watching the tag at first base. If he goes to second, I'll be taking that runner into second base.
So Billy, as the plate umpire, as that ball is in flight, where are you positioning yourself?
I
anticipating that
probably,
play?
with just the runner on first base, I'll be following the batter runner to first base. I could be running out middle of the pitching circle and first base too.
So you're going to let the play dictate where it is that you're going to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if it's close to it's close to the foul line. I'd like to be closer to the foul line so I can help the umpire that went out on a fair foul. If they need the help, if he needs the help from me.
Mr. Heriberta, would your positioning be affected whether or not you have a fence versus a chalk line for your out of play area?
I would treat them more the same from that side of things, but if I had a chalk line, I'm gonna probably get a little bit closer to that just because it's a temporary thing and might be harder to see that.
Nice. Thank you both. Okay, our
Ross,
next play.
Ross just a minute.
Yeah.
Go back to that play if you can for a minute. Keep this in mind, folks, that, you know, the answers we have here are very good. And basically what I liked was that Billy would also keep an eye on the fair foul line, because let's face it, we've all been in a situation where we're rotated out there, the fly ball goes up, we go to chase it and then realize that the wind is pushing it toward the line, and we have to keep going with that. Realizing that once we say that we're chasing as you won, now what we have is we're supposed to have responsibility for fair foul. In some cases, we're not going to get to the line. So the plate umpire has to basically be ready to make the fair foul call at that point. The question I would have at this point to Brian, because he was the one that was announced, that in this situation, when you realize that you're not going to be able to get to a line, would it be better for you to continue on with the angle for the catch, or would it be better for you to try to go straight to the line and hope and basically pick up the line first, and then as the ball is going to that way, you'll have everything in sight? Give up basically going towards the player for the line, or still continuing towards the player?
I actually had something like that in a very windy situation a couple years back in a game, and I went straight to the line.
Okay. That would be my recommendation with this also, for you folks that do chase on something like this. Then once you start chasing, you realize that, oh no, I shouldn't have gone. Go back to what our priorities are. The first priority is going to be fair foul. So that's what we need to go for, is go to the line. What this will do, by getting to the line, it would also free up the plate umpire more to be able to get into the middle of the diamond to take the tag and the runner going to second, and or the runner tagging and coming back to first if the ball was caught. So nice plays there, both of you folks, with the answers to that and thinking ahead of what you could do and not do. Go ahead, Ross.
Okay, so for this play, Mr. Dave Selden will be our plate umpire. Mr. Baker will be our base umpire. So really, it's the same play that we just had. Difference being, U1 does not chase. So Mr. Baker, what are your thoughts?
On the fly ball going out, I'm going to come in button hook to watch the runner at first, the batter runner coming up at first. I'm going to listen for Dave to say out. If he calls an out, then I know that I don't have any more responsibility at first base unless the runner decides to go back, and I'm going to carry the runner into second base.
Mr. Selden, what do you feel about your base umpire's performance?
Hey, I didn't get the first part of the play. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we got it's a 2-umpire system. We have a runner on first base, fly ball to deep right field near the line. Mike is not chasing on the ball, so he's coming in. The ball is caught. R1 tags and goes to second. So we want to know what your actions are, what your participation is in the play.
All right. My participation is to trail a runner, determine ball status, whether fair, foul on the catch, call the catch. And if the runner comes back and Mike needs help, I'll help up with his tag so that he can concentrate on something at second base if our runner goes.
Good. What happens if we have a caught ball? Dave signals the catch. We have a ball thrown into second base, in an attempt to retire that runner from first. The ball is overthrown and the runner gets up and goes to third. Whose call is that at third?
That's mine. I'm
Are you
going to
gonna-
pick up, I'm going to be inside, and I'm going to be taking that runner into third because Dave's going to be up the line trailing the batter runner. Yeah, he could cut across, but technically that's going to be my runner into third.
Okay.
And I'm speedy.
You're speedy, so you're gonna make it there?
Let's back up for a minute with that. With that situation there that we have, once Dave determines that it's fair foul and the ball is caught and then thrown to third, he should be already moving back towards the holding zone at this point because he would have no other responsibilities. And doesn't one of our things say if the runner starts at first base, they go to third, they could pick them up. But also on the other hand, we also say that the base umpire has the last runner on the field, correct?
That is correct.
So in this
But
particular
Baker won't
case,
get there.
I think in this particular case, would there be something called communication between the two of you?
I would not let Michael take that play into third.
That's what I would look at too, because you basically, if Mike comes in, and this is, I'm not gonna just say Mike, I'm gonna say any umpire that comes in is gonna be basically standing flat-footed. Once that runner gets up and starts to take off again, we're already behind the play. The plate umpire, as Dave said, now is already moving and is on the move to go towards third base. Plus, what they also have to look for at this point is if that ball gets by and is close to an out of play line, they would have a better view than the base umpire coming across. So this is one of the things that we have as far as communication factor would be a big play into this point here. Read the play is the biggest thing.
Since Dave's going to be behind me, I'm going to wait on him. I mean, if he thinks that he can pick it up and take it, if he's going to take it, I would expect him to say, Mike, I've got to call it third. And that would call
Exactly.
me
And that's
off
what
of
we're
it.
looking at. That's what we're looking at as communication factor.
Well, but I'm not going to be looking at Dave because my concentration is going to be on what's going on with the runner and where the runner's headed to.
So what did I just said communication factor. So you have to listen for Dave.
Exactly.
Okay.
Trust me, you'll hear Dave.
I've been there. Done that.
I've heard Dave.
I would like to, I want to go back to a comment that Dave made with a possibility of the R1 tagging and coming back to first base because they couldn't make it to second. And Dave said something about that he would take the call. That is something that would be not in our manual. So Dave, what would you be doing?
Oh, I'd be yelling and screaming at Mike to let him know that I had that and I would take it from him.
Okay. So keep this in mind for everybody else out there. That is something that by the manual in that particular play, the base umpire has the runner back to first base. So if we deviate from the manual, we must do what? We must communicate. So this is what I was getting at, and Dave correctly answered what I was looking for. Thank you.
I've worked with Dave before. He would tell me that he's got that side of the play.
Yes. Okay,
Gary-
good job, guys. Good job.
Gary Evans also brought up a comment. The throw's coming from right field. So the umpire going from second to third could be in the way of the throw also. So not only you have that issue there, but not only that, the umpire on the bases needs to pick up that ball coming in as well to avoid that getting hit with that ball as well.
My head's on a swivel, Bob.
Yep.
Yep. Correct.
So for our
Nice
next play-
job. Nice job, guys. Way to answer and take these plays a little bit farther too. This is good questions.
So for our next play, we have a 3 umpire system. Mr. Hahn, you are our first base umpire. Mr. Jamie Evans, you're at third. Mr. Mark Sufsick, you are our plate umpire. Runner on first base. Fly ball to deep right field near the line. U1 chases. So again, that's Kevin. The ball is caught. R1 tags and goes to second. What umpire actions take place? So Mr. Hahn, since you're our first base umpire and this is keying off you, what are you doing?
I'm chasing the ball, straddling the fair foul line, signaling fair or foul. The ball is caught. I'm just going to turn and follow the ball back on into the infield. my other two part.
I'm listening with this and the fucking thing keeps going on up here. This and the fucking thing keeps going on up here.
Okay, Mr. Jamie Evans, I'm not quite sure what I just heard.
I'm not either.
I'm not sure what I just heard.
Who's ever got the phone on that's a 248 exchange?
Who's ever got the phone on that's a 248 exchange?
We're getting
We're getting
feedback because someone's not muted.
Ross, you may have to mute everybody at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to see who it is.
It's the telephone number, Ross.
We should be okay. Okay, Mr. Jamie Evans, you're up. Well, pitch hitting for Jamie Evans will be Gary Evans.
Gotcha.
We're good.
Okay. Since the first base umpire's gone out, I'm gonna button hook inside the diamond, get the tag at first base, and take the runner wherever they go. If they go back to first, I'll take them back to first. If they go to second, I got them at second. If they go to third, I've got them at third. We've reverted to a 2-umpire system.
Excellent. Mr. Sefcik, what do you think about your crew? Mr. Mellon, you will be substituting for Mr. Sefcik. What do you think about your crew?
Okay, am I back?
Oh, yep, we got you, Mark. Go ahead.
All right, the partners did exactly what I taught them. No, that was perfect. That was what I would do, and I would be watching both partners for their reactions, and I would just key off of them.
And so where's your positioning on the field? Where are you going?
Oh, I'm still following the batter base runner up the line, halfway up, and then kind of in that holding position there and see how the play progresses.
So as the ball comes back in, you're returning to that holding zone?
And let my base umpire have that base runner, correct.
Any comments, concerns on that play? Okay, thank you.
Am I
Okay,
back
three
muted
umpire-
or I'm still live?
You're still live.
Mark.
Good. All right. At least I'm alive.
Ross, you're at 40, you're at 45 right now, so.
Yep, okay. Let's do this then. I'm gonna jump ahead in the presentation, so don't get dizzy with some of these plays. Okay, so Mr. Schimpf was going to cover some information tonight regarding positioning as the base umpire. And Dave has long held the theory about using the lines on the pitcher circle to act as your guide. And again, this is just a guide from where to stand, still shading the lead runner, but being off the appropriate shoulder of the second baseman or the shortstop. What we're seeing is a lot of times umpires want to cheat toward the next base. So if I have a runner on first, perhaps I'm off the right shoulder of the second baseman as opposed to the left shoulder as I should be. And the same thing going towards, with a runner on second base, going towards third. I think the tendency to cheat is more prevalent when you have that runner at second than first. And where that gets us into trouble is the closer you are to third, if you have that play at first, your distance from first is farther away to make that call. So again, David was going to cover this. I apologize if I didn't have all the information that he had. As some of you know, David's having some health issues right now. And so he still requests your prayers if that is something that's in your belief. But he was not able to join us tonight. So skip. Okay. So Brian had already talked about the clinics that we have coming up. April 2nd is in Midland, and that's going to be at the Redcoats Complex. Brian, I think I heard you say earlier that's at 9 o'clock. Is that?
That will start at 9 a.m., probably run until about noon.
Okay. And then on April 6th, we are at Holland at the Matt Urban Complex. Do we have times for that yet?
That will be 6 o'clock, and most likely, depending on the weather, it'll probably be about a 2-hour session. So we'll probably be out of there probably about 8 o'clock at night.
Okay. So we will have that information posted to the website. And again, these are elective sessions, voluntary. If you'd like to attend and get the shoes a little bit worn in before the beginning of the season. Couple opportunities that we have for you coming up. On July 25th through the 31st, and some of you on this call went out last year to the 18U Championship. And the Alliance Fast Pitch are using Oklahoma City on a rotating basis for who is there. So this year is the 10 and 12 and under. Again, using a 2-umpire system. We'll be having 15 fields, so need approximately 60 umpires. Travel, room, and game fees are provided. And to qualify, you need to have completed your background check, your registration, and your safe sport. If those are dates that you are interested in going out to Oklahoma City, please contact me and let me know that your availability. At this point, just by letting us know that you're available, it does not necessarily mean that you are absolutely 100% in. At this point, we need to take a roster of names and submit those to the national office, and they will in turn let us know who it is that they'll be using from our desired roster. Brian, did you have anything to say on that?
You covered that quite well. So that's all we're looking for right now. As Ross said, we're just looking for people that are available and interested, and then we'll submit the names and go from there.
Okay. The other opportunity we have is for our JL state tournaments. June 10th through the 12th, they'll be in Mount Pleasant. I believe that we're also using some fields possibly from the Midland area. And then July 8th through the 10th is Holland. It's a 2+ umpire system. Again, must have the background check, registration, safe sport. And for that, you're going to contact David if you are interested in that. We know that first weekend that's in Mount Pleasant also may have some conflicts with high school softball. But at this point, if you're available for even any portion of that tournament, even if not available for the entire 3 days, still let David know of your availability.
That tournament is called something different on the website.
They're doing a double play series. Brian, I can't remember what the first one's called.
It's the first one, I believe, was a Chippewa River Challenge.
Yeah.
Or yeah, something of that. I believe it's the Chippewa Challenge. And it is true, Midland will host part of the tournament and Mount Pleasant has the other part. It's great to be back in Midland. We're happy to be over there. I think what it boils down to is Mount Pleasant wanted to keep everything at Island Park. And to do that, Midland stepped forward and said that we can help out with that tournament, and it will be nice. They won't be crisscrossing, so I believe that the 12s and the 10s and 12s will be at Midland. Don't quote me on this, and the rest will be in Mount Pleasant, but I could be off base on that too. So, but it will be worked out. If you go to one site, you'll probably stay at that site for the day. So, okay.
Okay, with that, that will conclude our session for this evening. If anyone has any last minute comments or questions that they'd like to bring up, the floor is open.
Before I make my closing comments, please ask your questions.
Looks like we have a couple things in chat. Let's check.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think
Anything
we're
there,
all
Ross?
set there. Yep, I think we're all set on the chat. Just a last reminder, if you've not already placed your name in the group chat, please do so now so that you can get credit for attending the live session. With that, Mr. Brian Smith, please take it home.
Okay, the question for tonight, as far as for the people that are viewing this on from the website, the question is, JO girls are allowed to leap this year. I should rephrase that. JO girls pitchers are allowed to leap this year, true or false? So we just have one question that they need to answer to send that to receive credit for during this session. I would like to thank everybody for being on the call tonight. I know we took away some time from your family, but it's very appreciative that you took the time out to be here. I also want to thank the state staff. We came to them and challenged them to put sessions together to help our umpires and continue to train our umpires through this time of year up until the season starts. They have accepted the challenge and exceeded the challenge. And with that, I'm very pleased with what the state staff has done. I'm pleased with what the district UICs have done on getting the information out to their umpires so they could view these sessions, whether it be in person or on the recorded versions. To all of you, we thank you for attending our sessions. This, as we said, will be our last session. And we look forward to a great season. There will be more information coming forward in regards to the outdoor clinics, and we look forward to seeing you there. So once again, thank you for everything you do for our program, and have a great season.
Thank you, everyone.